Dr. Eliza Rojas, a driven and ambitious archaeologist in her early 30s, is working on an excavation project in the dense jungles of Guatemala, following rumors of ancient Maya ruins that have remained untouched for centuries. The air is thick with humidity as she treks through the thick underbrush, her team of archaeologists and local guides struggling to keep up. The deeper they venture into the jungle, the more Eliza feels the weight of the mystery that has been pulling at her since she was a child, an unrelenting fascination with the Maya civilization. Stay with me as we break it all down. But first, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss any of our deep dives into world events. Let's get started. One day, while exploring a previously overlooked cave system on the outskirts of an undiscovered site, Eliza stumbles upon a hidden chamber. The entrance is concealed behind a series of dense vines and an overgrowth of thick roots, but Eliza, with her keen intuition, pushes forward. She carefully removes the overgrown foliage, revealing an intricately carved stone door. The reliefs on the door depict scenes of celestial alignments, rituals, and strange symbols she doesn't immediately recognize. Her heart races with excitement as she realizes she's stumbled upon something that could rewrite history. After hours of careful work, she manages to pry open the door, revealing a dark, dusty chamber inside. As she steps in, the dim light from her flashlight reveals the faint glint of something buried beneath the rubble. There, partially buried in the earth, is a weathered but remarkable object, an ancient codex. Unlike anything Eliza has ever seen, it's made of brittle, gold-embossed leather, and the pages inside are filled with strange glyphs and intricate illustrations. The codex is written in a language that appears to combine Maya script with symbols she has never encountered before. She feels a deep shiver run down her spine, realizing the artifact could be one of the lost records of the Maya's most secretive knowledge. The moment Eliza lays her hands on it, a strange, electric sensation surges through her body. She brushes off the feeling as a rush of adrenaline, but she can't ignore the nagging sensation that something far greater is at play here. As she carefully examines the codex, she notices that certain sections seem oddly familiar. The way the stars are arranged, the celestial cycles depicted within the pages. It's as though the codex is calling to her in a way that she cannot yet understand. Despite the importance of the find, Eliza is not alone in her discovery. Nearby, a team of rival archaeologists, led by the ambitious Professor Leonardo Vasquez, has also been conducting their own excavation. They've long dismissed the remote site Eliza has focused on, but now that she has uncovered this remarkable artifact, they begin to take an unhealthy interest in her discovery. Vasquez, known for his cutthroat nature and disregard for ethical practices, quickly begins to pressure Eliza to share the codex with him. Torn between her personal integrity and the allure of the fame this discovery could bring her, Eliza resolves to study the codex on her own first. She returns to her research base, surrounded by maps of ancient Maya cities and fragments of ancient scripts. Late into the night, she pores over the codex, attempting to decode its strange symbols. The symbols gradually begin to fall into place, revealing part of the Maya's prophecy, a warning of something that would come to pass, a cataclysmic event of world-shaking proportions, and most troubling of all, the prophecy mentions a lost city beyond time. Eliza's excitement grows into trepidation. She realizes that the Maya were far more advanced than anyone had believed. They possessed a knowledge of the cosmos and technology that defies her understanding, and she begins to suspect that their civilization's downfall may not have been caused by the natural forces of war or environmental decline. Something darker, more insidious, may have been at play. As she continues to decode the mysterious text, she becomes increasingly aware of an undercurrent of danger. She can feel eyes watching her. The weight of the codex in her hands grows heavier by the minute, and she wonders if its contents are meant to be uncovered, or if some power, ancient and malevolent, will come to reclaim it. As the days pass, Dr. Eliza Rojas becomes increasingly absorbed by the codex she discovered in the jungle. It's as if the ancient text has a life of its own, speaking to her in cryptic whispers, revealing itself only when she's deep in thought. At night, she lies awake in her makeshift quarters, staring at the intricate patterns in the pages, the Maya symbols dancing before her eyes. The codex is a puzzle, and every piece she uncovers only deepens the mystery. One evening, as Eliza sits alone, trying to translate a particularly complex section of the codex, a strange sensation washes over her. The room seems to grow colder, and the faint sound of a drum beat echoes in her ears. She rubs her eyes, thinking it's exhaustion. But when she looks up, she is no longer in her research tent. She is standing in the middle of an ancient Maya city, the towering pyramids of Tikal rising into the sky. The air smells different, musty, like wet earth mixed with incense. The sounds around her are strange, too, a cacophony of people speaking in a language she somehow understands. The rhythmic thrum of ceremonial drums, the flutter of feathers from ceremonial headdresses. Confused and overwhelmed, Eliza's heart races as she realizes she's not just dreaming. She's there, in the past. She watches as Maya priests in elaborate costumes perform a ritual in front of a massive stone altar, their chants rising in unison. One priest, in particular, stands out, a tall figure with intense eyes, the high priest of the city. He holds a glowing object in his hands, an artifact not unlike the codex she found. As the ritual intensifies, the artifact begins to emit a strange, pulsating light, and the air thickens with an energy Eliza can almost feel in her chest. Then, just as quickly as it all began, the vision vanishes. Eliza blinks, and she's back in her research tent, breathing heavily, her hands trembling. She can't explain what just happened. Was it a dream? A hallucination? Or was she somehow transported through time? This isn't the first time the visions have occurred. They began shortly after she first touched the codex, though this particular experience was far more vivid, far more real. Over the next few days, the visions intensify. She sees the high priest again, standing atop the pyramid, gazing up at the stars. His face is twisted in a mix of fear and determination, as if he knows something is about to go terribly wrong. Other visions follow. Vast, empty cities, abandoned and overgrown, their once proud architecture crumbling into dust. Eliza hears the wails of people who have vanished without a trace. Through it all, she can't shake the feeling that the Maya didn't just fall. They disappeared. And somehow, the answers are locked within the codex. But the more she unravels, the more troubling the visions become. The high priest begins to speak to her, though not in words, but through emotions. His desperate need to change the past, to stop something catastrophic from happening, echoes in her mind. He urges her to understand the truth, to unlock the hidden device, the one capable of manipulating time itself. But there's something darker lurking beneath his pleas. The artifact, she realizes, is not just a tool of power. It is a key to altering history in ways that could bring either salvation or destruction. The visions continue, each one more disturbing than the last. In one, Eliza sees the high priest standing at the foot of a massive stone structure, whispering incantations as a burst of light envelops the city. The surrounding landscape shifts, warps, and fractures before her eyes, as if reality itself is being torn apart. In the final vision, Eliza witnesses the moment the Maya civilization begins to crumble. The priests, in their desperate attempts to manipulate time, unleash an uncontrollable force that begins to unravel everything they've built. Eliza wakes from the vision in a cold sweat, her heart pounding. She now knows with certainty that the codex holds the truth behind the Maya's disappearance. And it's a truth more horrifying than anything she could have imagined. The Maya didn't simply disappear, they were erased. The time shifts caused by their tampering with the device fractured the very timeline, rewriting history and wiping the civilization from existence. As she tries to make sense of what she's seen, Eliza can't ignore the growing sense of dread gnawing at her. She's not just a passive observer in these visions, she's beginning to feel as though she's part of the story, that her fate is somehow intertwined with the Maya. The visions are no longer just about ancient history. They are a warning, a prophecy that now feels too real to ignore. As she pores over the codex, the connections between the ancient rituals, the artifact, and the shifting timeline begin to take form. But Eliza's growing obsession comes at a cost. The lines between the visions and reality begin to blur. She starts hearing the drum beats when she's wide awake. Shadows in the corners of her room seem to shift, and she feels the presence of someone watching her, though she's alone. The pressure builds on her mind, her body, her sanity. One night, as the drum beats grow louder, Eliza stares at the codex, determined to unlock its secrets. But just as she begins to make progress, the high priest's face appears before her, as if he's standing just beyond the veil between worlds. His eyes, once filled with desperation, are now filled with anger. "You must stop," he whispers in a voice that chills her to the bone. "Do not open the door. The past is a place we were never meant to return to." Eliza's pulse quickens as she stares into the priest's haunted eyes, realizing that her journey into the Maya's past may not be about uncovering knowledge. It may be a race against time itself, with consequences far beyond what she can comprehend. As Eliza painstakingly decodes the final sections of the ancient codex, her research takes an unexpected and chilling turn. Hidden in the intricate glyphs of the manuscript, a disturbing revelation begins to emerge. A secret faction within the Maya elite, known only as the Keepers of Time, played a pivotal role in the civilization's mysterious collapse. These keepers were no mere priests or scholars. They were a covert order, bound by an oath to protect a forbidden knowledge, one that could alter the very flow of time itself. This knowledge was housed in an artifact, a mysterious device crafted from a rare alloy that shimmered with an otherworldly energy. According to the codex, the keepers were entrusted with the artifact by the ancient gods, who imparted their time-warping secrets through a series of cryptic visions. However, this power came at a terrible price. The codex reveals that the keepers' ambitions were insatiable. They sought to harness the artifact's abilities, not just to preserve the Maya civilization, but to elevate their own status and influence beyond the limitations of their time. They believed that through control of time, they could carve out a perfect world, a world in which they remained at the apex of power, free from the threat of collapse or conquest. But their tampering with time led to catastrophic consequences. Eliza learns that the Keepers were responsible for repeated shifts in the timeline, each one subtly changing the course of history, erasing entire generations of Maya people and altering their very existence. The civilization was not destroyed by war or environmental collapse, as historians had long believed, but systematically erased, the result of the Keepers' reckless manipulation of temporal forces. As they rewrote history, they inadvertently caused the Maya to vanish from the annals of time, their cities crumbling and their people scattered. What remained were only remnants, ruins, artifacts, and the faintest echoes of a civilization once great. Driven by an obsessive desire to regain control of the timeline, the Keepers launched their final, most dangerous experiment: to create an alternate version of reality where the Maya could thrive and reclaim their lost glory. But the experiment went horribly wrong. The device's power grew unstable, and the shifts became uncontrollable. Whole periods of time began to collapse, creating a chaotic web of fragmented realities, each one struggling to hold on to its existence. And as the past unraveled, so did the present. Eliza's investigation takes a dark turn when she uncovers the disturbing truth. The Keepers' manipulation of time had not only erased the Maya, but had also triggered an ongoing chain of events that threatened the stability of the world itself. The timeline was not just a relic of the past, it was alive, and its fractures were beginning to bleed into her reality. Each clue Eliza uncovers about the Keepers is like a thread in a grand tapestry of temporal manipulation, leading her closer to the horrifying realization that the world she knows may soon cease to exist. The deeper Eliza delves into the secrets of the Maya codex, the more her understanding of the past and of herself begins to unravel. As she pieces together the history of the Keepers of Time, she uncovers a truth so astounding that it threatens to destabilize her entire sense of reality. The Maya civilization was never truly destroyed. Instead, it was systematically erased from existence, its timeline fractured beyond recognition. What remained, what the world knows as the Maya ruins, are nothing more than the remnants of a civilization that was wiped out by the Keepers' reckless manipulation of time. The more Eliza decodes, the more she realizes that these ancient shifts, the violent alterations in the timeline caused by the Keepers, are still occurring. The Maya never fell in the conventional sense. They didn't succumb to war, famine, or environmental collapse. Instead, they were pulled out of time itself, removed from the fabric of history like an unfinished page torn from a book. Each shift created a ripple, erasing whole swathes of their civilization. Cities, people, entire dynasties, lost to the sands of time. And yet, inexplicably, some traces of their culture, their knowledge, and their monuments have survived, scattered across the world as ancient ruins. As Eliza investigates further, she finds herself facing a staggering realization. The Maya exist, but they exist in multiple, shifting timelines. The Codex reveals that the Keepers' actions have caused a series of fractures, each one a break in the timeline, that have created overlapping realities. There are versions of the Maya civilization that thrive, others where they have long since perished, and still others where their influence subtly endures in the shadows of history. But in every version, one constant remains. The Maya were never meant to fade away. The world Eliza once knew is now in jeopardy. The fractures caused by the Keepers are spreading, and each new shift destabilizes the timeline even further. The codex warns that, unless the device is properly understood and the damage undone, the very nature of reality will continue to splinter, with catastrophic consequences for both the past and the future. As the timeline breaks, Eliza begins to notice subtle changes in her own world. People, places, and events from the past seem to bleed into her present. But they are always out of sync, never quite matching up. She hears whispers of Maya rituals she never knew existed, catches glimpses of ancient temples that have never been discovered, and starts to encounter people who seem oddly familiar, as though they've existed in a reality she can't quite place. Eliza begins to understand that she is not just an observer in this unraveling world, she is a part of it. The more she learns about the device's power, the more she realizes that her actions in the present have far-reaching consequences in the past. The fractures in the timeline are no longer just historical curiosities. They are affecting her very existence. Each shift makes her feel less grounded, as if she herself is slowly being erased, like a faded figure in a painting that is losing its definition. And yet, as the timeline unravels, she begins to see glimpses of herself, not just in the present, but in ancient moments, in the very heart of Maya history. It becomes clear that she is somehow connected to the Maya in ways she cannot yet fully comprehend. Now, Eliza must confront the greatest question of all. Can she repair the timeline and restore the Maya to their rightful place in history without losing herself entirely? The device holds the key, but its power is beyond anything she's ever imagined. The stakes have never been higher, and Eliza finds herself trapped in a race against time itself, her reality slipping further away with each passing moment. In the midst of her growing understanding of the ancient Maya civilization and the power of the device, Eliza's world shifts in a more personal, unexpected direction. One evening, while researching at a remote archive in the heart of Guatemala, Eliza encounters a man named Javier. He is tall, dark-haired, and possesses an air of quiet intensity that immediately piques her curiosity. His mannerisms are strangely familiar, like someone she has met before, though she cannot place him. His deep knowledge of the ancient Maya, particularly their obscure rituals and mysterious artifacts, astonishes her. As their conversation evolves, it becomes clear that Javier is not just a scholar. He knows things about the Maya codex and the lost technology that Eliza has only begun to uncover. At first, their relationship is strictly professional. Javier helps her navigate the codex, offering insight into the more complex passages. He seems to possess an uncanny ability to decipher the intricate Maya glyphs, revealing hidden meanings that even Eliza had missed. As they work late into the night, studying the delicate pages of the ancient text, their connection deepens. His dark, brooding eyes never leave her when they speak, and there are moments when the air between them feels thick with unspoken tension. But it isn't just his intellect that draws Eliza in. It's something more. There are flashes in his gaze, a depth in his voice, that hint at a history he's not sharing. Javier's allure becomes irresistible, and soon they find themselves sharing more than just research notes. Their conversations drift from the Maya's ancient mysteries to personal topics: his childhood, his travels, his love for the lost cultures of the world. For Eliza, it feels as though a door has opened, allowing her to glimpse a side of herself she didn't know existed. She finds solace in his presence, as if he understands the weight of her discovery better than anyone else. As the days pass, the intensity of their bond grows. They begin spending more time together outside the confines of the research room, taking walks through the jungle or visiting the ruins of Maya cities that are scattered across the region. Javier's knowledge of the land is unmatched, and he introduces Eliza to hidden temples and forgotten structures that had long been swallowed by the dense tropical foliage. Their moments in the jungle are almost magical. Under the canopy of stars, surrounded by the whispers of the ancient past, Eliza feels a sense of connection to something much larger than herself. But as their romantic relationship deepens, so do the shadows lurking in the corners of Eliza's mind. There is something about Javier that doesn't quite add up. Despite his outwardly warm and engaging demeanor, he is often distant, retreating into his thoughts when the conversation drifts toward the Maya device or the strange occurrences surrounding the fractured timeline. He is too knowledgeable, too involved, and there are moments when Eliza catches him staring at her with an unsettling intensity, as though he's evaluating her, probing her every thought and action. One night, after a particularly passionate kiss beneath the ancient stone arches of a forgotten Maya temple, Eliza stumbles upon a startling truth. Javier has been keeping secrets. She finds a document hidden in his bag, one that is unmistakably connected to the Keepers of Time, the same shadowy faction she has been researching. The document mentions a hidden faction within the Maya elite that has been manipulating the timeline, and Javier's name is etched at the bottom. He has been working with the Keepers all along. The revelation hits her like a thunderclap. How could Javier, the man she has come to trust and even love, be connected to the very force responsible for the destabilization of history? Is he manipulating her for his own gain, or is he as much a victim of the Keepers as she is? The boundaries between trust and betrayal blur as Eliza struggles to reconcile the man she has come to care for with the chilling truth of his ties to the shadowy faction that caused the Maya's downfall. Torn between her growing feelings for Javier and her need to stop the impending collapse of time, Eliza faces the most difficult choice of all. Can she trust him? Or is he part of a larger scheme to control the ancient technology and rewrite history to suit his own desires? As Eliza continues her investigation into the Maya's ancient technology and the powerful device at the heart of the timeline fractures, her grip on reality begins to slip. What started as a series of visions, brief, fleeting glimpses of the past, has transformed into full-blown, overwhelming experiences. Eliza can no longer tell where her waking life ends and her dreams, or perhaps her past lives, begin. It starts subtly at first. She notices strange sensations when she holds the codex, as if its pages are vibrating with a power she can't fully understand. Sometimes she hears faint whispers, a language she cannot recognize, but feels an inexplicable connection to. At first, Eliza brushes it off as exhaustion, as the toll of weeks spent deciphering ancient texts in isolation. But soon, these experiences grow more vivid, and the lines between her present reality and the fragmented timelines she's uncovering start to blur. One day, As she pores over a passage that describes an ancient Maya ritual, Eliza's surroundings suddenly dissolve. She blinks and finds herself standing in the center of a bustling Maya city. The vibrant, colorful marketplace stretches before her, full of life, the air thick with the scent of fresh fruit, exotic spices, and the faint smell of incense. She can hear the chatter of merchants haggling, the rhythmic pounding of drums in the distance, and the hum of priests chanting under their breath. The sun beats down on her skin as she takes in the scene, her heart racing. For a moment, she believes she has stepped back in time, physically transported to the past by the very device she has been researching. Her thoughts are interrupted when she sees a woman passing by, an elderly priestess draped in ceremonial garb. Their eyes meet, and Eliza feels an unshakable connection, as if she has known this woman for lifetimes. The priestess nods at her, an almost imperceptible gesture, but Eliza understands. She has been here before. But then, just as suddenly as it began, the vision shatters. Eliza is back in the small, dimly lit room where she had been studying the codex, the faint echo of the marketplace still buzzing in her ears. Her heart pounds in her chest, her breathing shallow as she tries to regain her bearings. She shakes her head, disoriented, and wonders if she's losing her mind. The visions continue to intensify. Sometimes, Eliza is no longer a passive observer, but an active participant in these ancient moments. She sees herself as a Maya priestess, standing in front of the very artifact that the keepers used to manipulate time. The device pulses with an ethereal glow, and she feels the weight of its power in her hands. She chants an ancient incantation, and in that instant, she realizes with chilling clarity that this ritual was not meant to preserve history. It was meant to alter it. But the visions don't stop there. Eliza finds herself in moments of the Maya's downfall, visions of destruction and chaos. She watches helplessly as the timeline fractures. Cities crumble into dust. The gods, once revered and worshipped, are forgotten. Entire generations vanish without a trace. Her very presence in these moments begins to affect the events unfolding before her eyes. She starts to realize that her actions, her decisions in these visions, are influencing the flow of history itself. A single word spoken, a gesture made in the past, creates a ripple effect that changes everything. The more these realities blur together, the more Eliza begins to feel herself unraveling. Each time she returns to the present, the world around her feels less tangible. People she once knew behave differently, as if they are part of a new, unfamiliar version of reality. Streets she's walked down countless times now appear foreign, as though they've shifted into a parallel world. Her memory itself seems to be eroding, as if it's being rewritten by the very fabric of time she's trying to understand. The confusion reaches its peak when she finds herself at a pivotal moment in one of her visions, standing on the precipice of the Maya's greatest catastrophe. She is no longer sure if she is Eliza Rojas, the archaeologist, or if she is a manifestation of the very past she's trying to understand. Is she becoming the priestess she saw in her vision, or is she simply losing herself in a historical loop she can't escape? The boundaries between what is real and what is imagined become dangerously thin. Eliza is left questioning her own identity. If she can influence the past with the decisions she makes in these visions, can she truly change the course of history? Or has she already become a part of the very timeline she's trying to repair? doomed to repeat the cycles of the Maya's rise and fall. As the timeline fractures grow stronger, Eliza must face an even darker truth. Each shift she experiences in the past may be pulling her further into the Maya's fate. She is no longer simply a witness to history. She is now an active participant, and every step she takes in the past may be sealing her own fate. Eliza's heart pounds in her chest as she uncovers the final pieces of the puzzle. The codex has given her the answers she sought, and yet, as the pieces come together, an overwhelming sense of dread begins to creep into her mind. The revelations are staggering, and as she retraces her steps, she begins to see the truth she has been blind to all along. Javier has been manipulating her from the very beginning. It starts with a single detail, a discrepancy in the ancient text that Eliza has overlooked. As she pores over the final chapters of the codex, she notices something chilling. Javier's name, hidden within a cryptic passage, appears once more. This time, in connection with a phrase that Eliza has dismissed as insignificant before: the Keepers of Time. It's not just a historical faction, it's Javier's legacy, his bloodline. He is a direct descendant of the very group that caused the Maya's downfall, the same group that had sought to rewrite history for their own gain. In the stillness of her study, Eliza confronts him. She asks the questions that have been gnawing at her for days. Why did he know so much about the Maya Codex? Why did he guide her toward uncovering the device's power? And, most chillingly, why has he been so willing to help her understand a technology so dangerous, one that could unravel time itself? Javier's calm demeanor falters for the first time. A flicker of regret crosses his face, but it's gone in an instant. The truth spills out in quiet, measured tones. Javier has always known who she is. He knew from the moment they met that she was not just an ordinary archaeologist. She was the key to unlocking the full power of the device, the key to restoring the Maya to their lost glory. She is the last piece of the puzzle, the final link in the chain that would allow him to control the timeline itself. But it's worse than that. Javier admits that he is not merely a scholar or a curious bystander. He is a part of the Keepers of Time, a faction that has been working in the shadows for centuries, and he has been using Eliza to awaken the device's power. Her research, her discoveries, her very presence in Guatemala, all of it has been orchestrated by him, guided by a hidden agenda. The bond they share, the romantic tension that is built between them, was never a coincidence. It was part of his plan to earn her trust, to manipulate her into deciphering the codex and activating the device. At that moment, everything Eliza thought she knew about their relationship crumbles. The love she felt for Javier was real, at least it had seemed so, but it was built on a lie. He was never the man he appeared to be. He has been playing a dangerous game, one that will rewrite history, regardless of the cost. His ultimate goal is to restore the Maya civilization, not as it was, but as he believes it should have been. The Keepers of Time seek to recreate a version of history where their ancestors controlled the world, with the power to alter time itself. The devastation of this betrayal is profound. Eliza feels as though the ground beneath her has disappeared. The very man she has come to trust, to love, has turned out to be an agent of the very destruction she's trying to prevent. Her heart aches with the weight of the decision she now faces. Can she stop him? Can she undo what he has set in motion, or is she too deep in this web to escape? Javier's words become more insistent, his voice growing desperate. He believes in his cause. He believes that the Maya were meant to rule over time, that they were the true masters of history, and that it is their rightful place to control the timeline. To him, Eliza is not a victim, but a partner in a grand vision. A vision of a world where the Maya rise again, and where he holds the reins of history itself. He pleads with her, trying to convince her to join him. "Together, we can restore what was lost," he says, his eyes locking with hers, full of conviction. But Eliza knows better now. The stakes are too high. If she joins him, if she allows him to continue his quest to manipulate time, the world will descend into chaos. The timeline will collapse under the weight of the Keeper's ambitions, and history itself will be torn apart. She has no choice. She must stop him. The choice is clear, and yet it is anything but easy. Javier is not just the man she loves. He is the embodiment of everything she has been fighting against. She must now decide. Will she betray the man she loves to protect the future? Can she sacrifice the one person who has meant everything to her in order to save history from being rewritten? As the tension mounts, Eliza knows that the ultimate test has arrived. This is her moment. She must find a way to stop Javier before it's too late, even if it means breaking her heart and losing the one person who has shaped her journey more than anyone else. The shock of Javier's betrayal leaves Eliza reeling, her mind in chaos as she struggles to process the truth of his manipulation. But just as the darkness of this revelation begins to settle in, another truth emerges, one that will change everything Eliza thought she knew about herself. As if guided by some invisible hand, Eliza uncovers a hidden layer of the codex, a passage that had eluded her until now, wrapped in obscure symbols that seem to pulse with a life of their own. The passage is fragmented, written in a dialect older than any Maya language she has encountered before. At first, Eliza can only make sense of a few words. Bloodline, key, the first to awaken. But as she digs deeper, she begins to understand the full weight of the revelation. The codex, it seems, was not just a record of the Maya's downfall or the Keeper's misdeeds. It was a map, a signal, and a prophecy all woven into one. It was meant for her. As Eliza works through the cryptic text, she stumbles upon a stunning realization. She is the direct descendant of the ancient Maya leaders who first unlocked the power of the device. Her bloodline is tied to the original Keepers, the very ones who first harnessed the forbidden technology to manipulate time. It was they who constructed the device, weaving their essence into its power, making it not just an artifact, but a living, breathing part of the Maya themselves. The revelation shakes her to her core. But this discovery does not come without its cost. Eliza's entire identity is now under scrutiny. Her family history, the stories of her childhood, the quiet passion for archaeology that once felt like a personal journey, all seem to be leading her toward a singular truth. She was always destined to find this codex. The blood that runs through her veins is ancient, tied to rulers and scholars whose names were erased from history long ago, swept away by the very device she has been studying. They were the original architects of time manipulation, and now, it seems, Eliza has inherited not just their legacy, but their responsibility. This new knowledge forces her to confront an uncomfortable reality. The Maya were not destroyed by the actions of outsiders, or even by their own mistakes. They were wiped from existence to prevent this bloodline from rising again. The Keepers of Time had used their own descendants to maintain the balance, ensuring that no one could ever possess the power of the device without causing the same tragic cycle of destruction. But Eliza has no choice now. The artifact is in her blood, and its power is bound to her lineage. It was always meant to be hers. The codex, in a way, has always been speaking to her, calling her home, as if it has been waiting for her to return and finish what her ancestors began. Her connection to the Maya deepens further when she realizes that the visions she has been experiencing, those moments when she feels as though she is living out the past, are not just flashes of some distant history. They are memories, not of the world she knows, but of a life she once lived, long before she was born into her present form. She has walked these streets before, stood in these temples, and chanted the same sacred incantations that echo in her mind. The bloodline runs deeper than she ever imagined, and now she is the last link to the power that can either restore or destroy everything. The implications of this discovery are both thrilling and terrifying. Eliza is no longer simply an archaeologist studying an ancient culture. She is a key player in the fate of time itself. Her family's blood runs through the device, and her decisions will determine whether the Maya rise again, or whether history is permanently altered, erasing her from existence in the process. The weight of her ancestry bears down on her like a crushing tide, and she begins to feel both the power and the danger of the device more keenly than ever before. But there is still so much to learn, so much left to uncover. Does she embrace her heritage, accepting the mantle of the Keepers and the power that comes with it? Or does she reject this legacy, knowing that its potential to destroy is just as great as its power to heal? The choice becomes even more complex when Eliza realizes that the very actions she takes in the present will ripple backward in time, shaping not only her own future, but the future of those who came before her. The final, heart-wrenching question now looms large. What if embracing her ancestral connection means sealing the fate of the Maya once again? What if the very power that was meant to protect them ultimately causes their downfall? The world around Eliza seems to be shifting faster than ever. As the fractures in the timeline deepen and the ancient device's power grows more unstable, Eliza's understanding of the situation becomes clear. There is no more time to waste. The Maya's civilization, their history, and her very existence hang in the balance. Every moment, every decision she makes reverberates through the fragile fabric of time, and she knows that if she does not act swiftly, the consequences will be catastrophic. The revelations she has uncovered about her bloodline, the Keepers of Time, and the device have transformed her from an archaeologist studying history into a crucial participant in shaping it. With the power to both restore and destroy the timeline, Eliza now understands the gravity of her choices. She is not merely a witness to history, she is the key to its survival. But the stakes are higher than ever. Javier's betrayal has left her emotionally broken, yet resolute. His parting words still echo in her mind. Together, we can rewrite history. Eliza knows that, while his ambitions were selfish and destructive, his desire to alter time was not entirely without merit. The Maya civilization deserves to be remembered. Their achievements and knowledge should not be lost forever. But restoring them could come at a devastating cost: her own existence. The device, bound to her bloodline, is both a blessing and a curse, It holds the power to repair the fractures, to stabilize the timeline, and to bring the Maya back into history. But in doing so, the very act of restoring the Maya could erase her from existence, as if she had never lived. The thought haunts her with every breath, the idea of erasing not just her life, but everything she's come to know and love. As the fractures continue to spread, Eliza finds herself caught in a frantic race against time. The world around her begins to warp. Glimpses of lost cities, ancient rituals, and forgotten people bleed through the fabric of reality. Whole moments from the past, once thought lost, now flicker into her vision. She can see them clearly, as if she were standing in those very places. Yet, she knows that these visions are not just memories or hallucinations. They are real. They are the past bleeding into the present, as if the very laws of time are beginning to collapse. Eliza is forced to confront the devastating truth. If the timeline is not repaired, the past and present will merge into a chaotic, unrecognizable future. The Maya will remain lost to history, and the world as she knows it will cease to exist. She is left with a choice that weighs heavily on her heart: restore history and risk losing everything she has ever known, or let the world fracture beyond repair and allow the Maya's legacy to fade into oblivion. She knows what must be done. The device must be activated. The Maya must be restored. But there is a problem. She cannot do it alone. Javier's actions may have been misguided, but his knowledge of the device and its power could still be crucial. Though she can no longer trust him completely, Eliza knows she needs him, if only for one final push to unlock the device's potential. The final piece of the puzzle lies within their combined knowledge and abilities. They have both the understanding and the bloodline necessary to bring balance to the timeline. But even as Eliza and Javier reluctantly come together, the timeline fractures continue to spread. The closer they get to the device, the more unstable reality becomes. The Maya civilization is no longer confined to the past. They exist in fragments scattered across time, and Eliza feels their presence as she moves through the world. The ancient temples, the once pristine cityscapes, and the people she's come to know in her visions seem to bleed through the cracks in the fabric of history. The more she attempts to fix the timeline, the more the Maya push against the boundaries of time, fighting to be reborn. The device itself feels alive, humming with the force of countless centuries, as if it is waiting for her to make the final decision. With each moment that passes, Eliza feels herself slipping further into the past. She starts to question whether she can truly undo the damage that has been done. Will the timeline allow her to fix the fractures without consuming her in the process? If she does nothing, will the world collapse into a never-ending chaos of shifting realities? As the final moments approach, Eliza must confront an even darker truth. If she activates the device, restoring the Maya civilization, she will cease to exist in this reality. She will be erased from history, her name forgotten, her legacy lost. The timeline will reset, and the world will never know of her or her sacrifice. The thought of disappearing forever is unbearable, yet the only way to save the Maya legacy and restore balance to time is to make this ultimate sacrifice. With a heavy heart, Eliza knows what she must do. The device is her only hope, the only way to set things right. But to use it, to restore the Maya and save the world from collapse, she must let go of everything: her life, her memories, and the future she's come to cherish. It's a choice no one should ever have to make. And yet, for Eliza, it has become the only way forward. The final decision is hers: save the Maya, restore history, and sacrifice herself for the greater good. Or let time slip further into chaos, allowing the world to fracture beyond repair. In the moments leading up to the activation of the device, Eliza stands at the threshold of history itself. Time seems to bend around her as the weight of her decision presses heavily on her chest. The ruins of the ancient Maya city stand before her, their crumbling stone walls whispering echoes of a past long lost. The device, its intricate design pulsating with an energy that seems almost sentient, sits in the center of the sacred chamber, waiting for her to make the final move. She has made her choice. The Maya must be restored. The damage done by the keepers of time must be undone, no matter the cost. But as she reaches out to activate the device, her heart pounds with a fear unlike anything she has ever known. The device is more powerful than she could have ever imagined, and she knows that the consequences of her actions will be irreversible. If she activates it, she will not just alter history. She will erase herself from it entirely. Javier stands behind her, his expression unreadable. He has come to understand, in his own twisted way, that the Maya's fate is in Eliza's hands, not his. Though he was once a driving force behind the manipulation of the timeline, his feelings for Eliza, however conflicted, have made him realize that history cannot be rewritten for personal gain. The Maya must be restored, but it must be done for the greater good, not for power. As Eliza touches the device, the world around her seems to fall away. The light from the artifact fills the chamber, radiating a brilliant glow that overwhelms her senses. The timeline fractures, each fracture like a jagged crack in the very fabric of reality, but the energy from the device begins to weave them together, slowly, carefully, like the stitching of a torn tapestry. The Maya's cities begin to rise again. Eliza feels herself pulled into the past, into the very heart of the civilization she has spent her life studying. She can see the grand temples, the bustling marketplaces, the priests and scholars moving with purpose. The Maya are flourishing, and yet, with each heartbeat, Eliza feels herself growing more distant from them. She is not part of this world. She is an observer now, a specter in the shadows, watching as the civilization she has worked so hard to restore takes shape before her eyes. But there is something else, a growing emptiness. Her existence is slipping away. As the device activates and the timeline is mended, Eliza's body begins to fade from the present. She feels herself pulled between worlds, the Maya world she is restoring and the one she has known, the one where she was born. Each passing moment feels like a lifetime as the cost of her sacrifice becomes clearer. Her life, her memories, her very being are being erased to make room for a restored past. She has no more time to say goodbye, no more time to reconcile her love for Javier or the family she once dreamed of having. She knows that once the final shift is complete, she will no longer exist in the world she once called home. But in this moment, she understands. This is the only way. The Maya civilization, long lost to time, is restored. Their cities rise from the dust, their people live on, their knowledge preserved. But in restoring them, Eliza has become a part of their legacy, not as an individual, but as a piece of history. Her name erased, but her actions still resonating in the world she saved. The Maya will continue to thrive, but she will no longer be remembered as the one who brought them back. As the final pulse of the device courses through the chamber, Eliza disappears. The world shifts back to its original state. The Maya cities, once in ruins, now stand tall and vibrant. The great temples, the ancient artwork, the knowledge of their culture, everything is intact, as if the civilization had never fallen. Eliza's name, once written in history, is now nothing more than a fading whisper. But then, in the heart of the ruins of Tikal, a strange, inexplicable object is found. A small artifact, intricately carved, glowing faintly with an ethereal light. It bears her name. It is a marker, a clue to her existence, though no one will ever know its true significance. Has Eliza truly disappeared from the timeline, or has she become something more? The world she saved continues, and the Maya thrive once again, their civilization restored to its rightful place in history. Yet, in the ruins of Tikal, the artifact remains, a mysterious and unexplained trace of the woman who made the ultimate sacrifice. It is a symbol of her legacy, a clue that Eliza's story is not truly over. She is lost to time, but she is not forgotten. In the end, Eliza becomes both a part of history and a part of the mystery that surrounds it. The Maya live on, their legacy intact, but her name, her memory, is forever intertwined with theirs, hidden in the shadows of the past.